Remember your position. The words weren't loud, but they were enough to make the entire parking garage quiet. Ryan Hayes stood beside the black Mercedes. His hand was still holding the car door. In front of him stood Olivia Carter, CEO of Carter International, the youngest woman ever to lead a Fortune 500 company, the woman who could make executives twice her age nervous with one look. And right now, she was looking at him not as an employee, but as someone she was protecting. 5 minutes earlier, the executive floor had been celebrating the company's biggest acquisition of the year. Everyone was there, board members, investors, senior executives, and Ryan. Except nobody knew who Ryan really was. To everyone in Carter International, he was simply Olivia's driver, the man who picked her up every morning, the man who opened her car door, the man who waited outside meetings, nothing more. At least that's what everyone believed. During the celebration, one of the senior executives raised his glass to Miss Carter, the youngest CEO in the industry, the woman who built this empire. Everyone applauded. Then someone laughed. Of course, we should also thank Mr. Hayes. Ryan looked up. He recognized the voice. Victor Lane, Vice President. Always looking for a chance to impress Olivia. Victor smiled. After all, our CEO spends so much time with her driver. A few people laughed awkwardly. Ryan lowered his eyes. He was used to this. People underestimated him. It was easier that way. But Victor continued, honestly, I don't understand why the company keeps someone like him around. He parks cars, runs errands. He's not exactly executive material. The room became quiet. Ryan remained calm. He simply placed his glass down. I'll leave first. He turned, but before he could walk away, Olivia spoke. Stop. Her voice was cold. Everyone froze. Ryan stopped, too. Olivia slowly stood. She looked at Victor, not angry, not emotional, just disappointed. Do you know why Ryan works as my driver? Victor smiled. Because that's his job. No. Olivia walked around the table. Every step made the room quieter. Because he chose to. The executives looked confused. Chose? She nodded. When he joined this company, he could have taken any position. Finance, operations, executive management. Victor's expression changed slightly. Olivia continued, but he refused. Why? Because he said. She looked toward Ryan. He wanted to know the person behind the title. Silence. Ryan looked surprised. She remembered. 3 years ago, Ryan had entered Carter International. Everyone expected him to fight for a high position. Instead, he asked to become her personal driver. When Olivia questioned him, he only smiled. I don't want to work for the CEO. I want to work beside Olivia. At the time, she thought he was strange. Now, she knew he was the only person who saw her. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, just her. Victor forced a laugh. Even so, he's still just a driver. Olivia looked at him, then smiled slightly. You're right. The room relaxed until she continued. He is my driver. And everyone held their breath. Olivia walked directly toward Ryan, stopped in front of him. Then she reached out, grabbed his hand. Victor's smile disappeared. She ignored him. Instead, she looked at Ryan. Do you know what everyone calls you? Ryan smiled faintly. A driver? She shook her head. No, they call you that because they don't know you. Her voice softened. Because they don't know. You are the person who remembers my coffee order. The person who notices when I skip lunch. The person who waits outside my office at midnight. Ryan's expression changed. Olivia. She squeezed his hand, then turned toward everyone. He's not important because of his position. He's important because she looked back at him. He's the only person who has never treated me like a CEO. The entire room was silent. Then Victor laughed nervously. CEO, are you saying you have feelings for your driver? Everyone looked at Olivia, waiting. For years, no one had ever seen her show emotion. Not once. But today, she didn't hesitate. Yes, one word. Simple. Certain. Ryan's heart stopped. Before anyone could react, Olivia stepped closer, placed one hand gently on his shoulder, then kissed him in front of everyone. The entire ballroom froze. Someone dropped a glass. Someone stopped recording. Someone forgot to breathe. The Ice Queen CEO had kissed her driver. When she pulled away, Ryan was completely stunned. Olivia, she looked at him calmly. What? Everyone saw. I know you just I did. Why? For the first time, the woman who controlled billion-dollar negotiations looked slightly nervous. She lowered her voice because I was tired of watching everyone misunderstand you. Ryan stared at her and she smiled softly. And I'm tired of pretending that you're only my driver. Outside the ballroom, the company's internal chat exploded. Breaking news. CEO kissed her driver. Is this real? The Ice Queen has a boyfriend. Who is Ryan Hayes? Nobody knew. Not yet. Because tomorrow, the entire company would discover something shocking. The man they thought was just a driver was the one person Olivia Carter had been waiting for all along. The next morning, Carter International was no longer a company. It was a battlefield of rumors. The moment Ryan walked into the lobby, every conversation stopped. Not for the CEO. Not for the executives, for him. The driver. The man who had kissed the CEO in front of hundreds of people. Ryan looked around awkwardly. Morning. The receptionist immediately stood straighter. Good morning, Mr. Hayes. Ryan blinked. Yesterday. They barely looked at him. Today, everyone suddenly knew his name. The elevator doors opened. Ryan stepped inside before the doors closed. A group of employees rushed in. The atmosphere became painfully quiet. Finally, one young employee couldn't hold it anymore. Mr. Hayes. Ryan looked over. Yes. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you really just a driver? The elevator became silent. Ryan smiled. Yes. The employee looked shocked. But why would the CEO? Ryan interrupted gently. That's a question for her. The employee nodded, then whispered. I think everyone wants to know. On the executive floor, Olivia was already waiting. Not behind her desk, near the elevator. Ryan stepped out. Immediately noticed. You were waiting? She nodded. Yes. Why? She looked confused. Because I wanted to see you. Ryan smiled. You know, before yesterday, you never waited for me. She looked at him. Before yesterday, I was pretending about what? She stepped closer about not caring. Ryan looked at the woman in front of him. The same woman who terrified investors. The same woman who could end negotiations with one sentence. Now she was standing in front of him. Admitting she missed him. His smile softened. Olivia. You know everyone is talking about us. I know you're not worried. No. Why? She answered immediately. Because they are talking about the truth. Just then Mia walked over with a stack of documents. She stopped, looked at the two of them, then smiled. Should I come back later? Ryan immediately stepped away. No. Olivia looked at Mia. What? Mia laughed. I've worked for you for 5 years. I have never seen you this obvious. Olivia frowned. Was I obvious? Mia and Ryan answered together. Yes. Mia placed the documents down. Actually, there is something Ryan should know. Ryan looked curious. What? She hesitated, then opened a file. Inside were dozens of reports, all related to him. Ryan frowned. What are these? Mia smiled. Your evaluations? My evaluations? She nodded. Every year. Ryan picked up the first document. The date was 3 years ago. The first week he joined. The comments were written by Olivia. Ryan Hayes is extremely capable. His understanding of people is his greatest strength. Do not underestimate him. Ryan looked surprised. I didn't know you wrote this. Mia smiled. Of course you didn't. Because every time someone suggested promoting you, she refused. Ryan frowned. Why? Mia looked at Olivia. Olivia remained silent. Finally, she answered. Because I was selfish. Ryan looked at her. What do you mean? She lowered her eyes. I wanted you close. The honesty stunned him. Mia continued. Do you know how many times the board suggested moving Ryan to another department? Ryan shook his head. No. 7 times. And every time Olivia rejected it. Because Mia smiled. Because she said, I need him here. Ryan looked at Olivia. You said that? She nodded. I did. Why? Olivia was quiet for a moment, then answered softly. Because every time my day became unbearable. You were the only reason I could continue. Before Ryan could respond, the office door opened. Victor walked in. His expression was completely different from yesterday. CEO. Olivia looked up. What? I apologize. Ryan glanced at him. Victor lowered his head. I misunderstood Mr. Hayes. Olivia said nothing. Victor continued. I thought he was only a driver, but he looked at Ryan. Clearly, I was wrong. After Victor left, Ryan stared at Olivia. You defended me yesterday. Yes. In front of everyone. Yes. You knew there would be rumors. Yes. Why weren't you afraid? She smiled. Ryan. I've spent my whole life being afraid of losing control. My company, my reputation, my image. She walked closer. But when it comes to losing you, I realized control doesn't matter anymore. That evening, Ryan drove Olivia home just like he had done for 3 years. Except tonight, everything felt different. The city lights reflected across the windshield. Olivia sat quietly beside him. After several minutes, she spoke. Ryan. Do you know what my biggest regret is? He glanced at her. What? That I waited 3 years. For what? She looked out the window to tell you that every time you opened the car door for me, every time you waited outside my office, every time you said I'll be here, I wasn't thinking about my driver. Ryan's hand tightened slightly on the steering wheel. Then what were you thinking? She turned toward him. I was thinking about the man I loved. The car became quiet. Only the sound of rain remained. Ryan finally smiled. Olivia. Yes. I think I might have been waiting 3 years too. She looked surprised. Waiting for what? He looked at her. For you to finally see me. She smiled softly. I saw you a long time ago. Then why didn't you say anything? Her answer was barely a whisper. Because I was afraid you'd leave. Ryan reached over at the red light, held her hand. Not anymore. For the first time, the Ice Queen CEO wasn't afraid of losing someone because the one person she wanted was already holding her hand. 3 days after the public kiss, Carter International still hadn't recovered. Not because the company had problems. Actually, business was better than ever. The problem was everyone was obsessed with one question. Who was Ryan Hayes? At lunchtime, the cafeteria was unusually quiet. Ryan walked carrying his usual meal. Immediately, everyone looked up. Before yesterday, nobody noticed him. Today, everyone noticed everything. The way he walked, the way he spoke, even the coffee he ordered. A young employee whispered, "He doesn't look like a driver." Another nodded. "I know. He looks like someone who owns the company." Ryan heard it. He smiled. If only they knew. 3 years ago, when Ryan first joined Carter International, the board had prepared an executive position for him. He rejected it. Everyone was confused. You graduated from the world's top business school. You have investment experience. You have managed companies before. Why become a driver? Ryan only gave one answer. I want to understand Olivia. At the time, everyone thought he was crazy. Now, only Olivia knew the truth. Or at least she thought she did. That afternoon, Olivia walked into Ryan's office. Yes, Ryan finally had an office. After yesterday's announcement, the board had immediately offered him a new position. Executive Director. He refused. Again, Olivia frowned. Why? Ryan looked up. Why? What? You rejected the promotion. He smiled. I don't need it. You deserve it. I know. She paused. You know. He laughed. I've always known what I'm capable of. Then why hide? Ryan became quiet. For the first time, Olivia saw hesitation in his eyes. Ryan. Tell me what? Why did you become my driver? He looked away. Isn't it obvious? No. She walked closer. Not anymore. You are not someone who needs to start from the bottom. You never were. Why? Ryan was silent for a long time. Then he opened the drawer beside his desk and took out a photograph. Olivia looked at it. Her eyes widened. The picture showed a young man standing beside an older businessman. The logo behind them was one she recognized. Ace Global, one of the world's largest private investment groups. Her voice became quiet. Ryan. He nodded. Yes, I am from Hayes Global. Silence. Complete silence. Olivia stared at him. You knew? Yes. You knew who my family was? Yes. You knew I was competing with your company? Yes. She stepped back slightly. Then why? Why did you become my driver? Ryan looked at her. Because everyone who approached me wanted something. They wanted investment, connections, power. But you. He smiled. You never asked for anything. 3 years ago, before joining Carter International, Ryan had seen Olivia at a business event. She was standing alone. Everyone around her was trying to impress her. Investors, executives, riches. But Ryan noticed something else. She looked exhausted, not powerful, lonely. That was the first time he thought, I want to know the person behind that expression. Back in the office, Olivia looked at him. So all this time you weren't my driver because you needed the job? No, you were there because of me. Ryan nodded. Yes. She was silent. Then suddenly she laughed. Ryan was confused. Why are you laughing? She shook her head. Because I spent 3 years worrying you would leave and you spent 3 years choosing to stay. She walked closer, stopped in front of him. You idiot. Ryan smiled. That's not usually a compliment. It is from me. She touched his chest lightly. You could have stood beside me. Everyone would have accepted you. You didn't need to open my car door. You didn't need to wait outside meetings. You didn't need to pretend to be ordinary. Ryan looked at her. I didn't pretend. No. He shook his head. I was ordinary with you. She froze. What? When I was with you, I wasn't the heir of Hayes Global. I wasn't an investor. I wasn't anyone important. He smiled. I was just Ryan. That sentence hit her harder than anything else because she finally understood the man she loved had never wanted her company, her status, her power. He had chosen the one thing nobody else chose. Horror. That evening, the board held an emergency meeting. The chairman announced effective immediately. Ryan Hayes will become vice chairman of Carter International. The room erupted. Ryan stood. Actually, everyone looked at him. I have one condition. The chairman smiled. I know you want to continue working with Olivia. Ryan nodded. Olivia looked at him. You do? Yes. Why? He smiled. Because my favorite job has always been being the person who makes you smile. Later that night, Olivia sat in the passenger seat. Ryan drove again. She looked at him. You're still driving me home? Yes. Even though you could hire 10 drivers? Yes. Why? He glanced at her. Because he smiled. I like opening the door for you. She looked away quickly, trying to hide her smile. You know, the whole world thinks I kissed my driver. Ryan laughed and she looked at him. They're wrong. Why? She held his hand. Because the world thinks I fell for someone below me. She smiled. But the truth is, I fell for someone who was always standing beside me. The car continued through the city lights and for the first time, Ryan no longer had to hide who he was. Because Olivia had never loved his identity. She had loved the man who opened the door for her. The news shocked the entire business world. Hayes Global Ryan Hayes joins Carter International. Within one afternoon, every major financial magazine published the same headline. People who had ignored him for 3 years suddenly wanted interviews. Investors who never remembered his name suddenly called him Mr. Hayes. The same man who had stood quietly behind Olivia's car door was now the person everyone wanted to meet. Monday morning, the entrance of Carter International was packed. Reporters, cameras, executives, everyone waited. The elevator doors opened. Ryan stepped out. A perfectly tailored suit, calm expression, confident posture, completely different from the man everyone thought they knew. The reporters immediately surrounded him. Mr. Hayes, is it true you hid your identity for 3 years? Why did you choose to work as CEO Carter's driver? Are you and CEO Carter getting married? Ryan calmly answered, one question at a time. The reporters laughed. Then someone asked, Mr. Hayes, with your background, why would you ever become a driver? The crowd became quiet. Everyone wanted the answer. Ryan looked toward the elevator, then smiled because that was the closest position to her. The answer immediately went viral. Inside the building, employees watched the interview on their phones. Daniel shook his head. I still can't believe it. Ryan looked over. What? You? What about me? You were secretly a billionaire. Ryan shrugged. And you spent 3 years carrying CEO's coffee. Ryan smiled. She liked that coffee. Daniel sighed. You're hopeless. At that moment, the elevator doors opened again. Olivia stepped out. The entire lobby became silent. She wore her usual CEO outfit, elegant, powerful, cold. Except the moment she saw Ryan, her expression changed. A small smile appeared. Only for him. Everyone noticed. Everyone. Ryan walked toward her. Good morning. She looked at him. Good morning. You slept well. Not really. He frowned. Why? She answered honestly. Because you weren't there. The lobby froze. The Ice Queen CEO just admitted she missed him in public. Ryan smiled. I was in the guest room. I know. Then I still missed you. The employees immediately looked away, pretending not to hear, but everyone heard. Later that morning, a senior manager entered Olivia's office. CEO. Yes. I wanted to apologize. For what? The manager hesitated for misunderstanding Mr. Hayes. Olivia looked up. You mean Ryan? Yes. He lowered his head. We all thought he was just a driver. Olivia was silent, then smiled. That's because he never wanted anyone to see anything else. The manager nodded. He really loves you. Olivia looked toward the window. A soft smile appeared. I know. That evening, Ryan arrived at the underground parking lot. He walked toward the company car but stopped because Olivia was standing beside it holding the keys. He blinked. What are you doing? She looked serious. Driving you? Yes. He laughed. Are you sure? She nodded. I practiced. How long? 3 days. Ryan stared. 3 days. I wanted to know what it felt like. What? She opened the driver's door. To take care of you. Ryan sat in the passenger seat. Olivia drove carefully. Very carefully. Too carefully. He smiled. You look more nervous driving than negotiating a $1 billion contract. She frowned. Because this matters more. He looked at her. Why? She kept her eyes on the road. Because everyone depends on me at work. But she glanced at him. I only care about one person being safe. Ryan's heart softened. Halfway home. They stopped at a red light. Olivia suddenly asked, Ryan, do you regret it? Regret what? Being my driver. The question surprised him. He answered immediately. No, not even once. Never. Even when people looked down on you? No. Even when everyone misunderstood you? No. She looked at him. Why? Ryan smiled. Because every morning I got to be the first person who saw you. She froze. What? Before the CEO? Before the meetings, before everyone needed something from you, I saw Olivia, the woman who was tired, the woman who forgot breakfast, the woman who secretly cried after losing a deal, the woman who pretended she was fine. His voice softened. I like that, Olivia. The traffic light turned green. Olivia didn't move immediately. Her eyes became slightly red. Ryan, yes, I think I owe you something. What? She leaned over before he could react. She kissed him, not in front of hundreds of people this time, not to prove anything, just because she wanted to. When she pulled away, she whispered, Thank you, Ryan smiled. For what? For seeing me. Before anyone else did. The next day, a new company rule appeared on the internal system. Everyone was shocked. Rule 1, do not interrupt Ryan Hayes when he is having lunch with CEO Carter. Daniel stared at it. Who created this? Mia smiled. The CEO. Daniel sighed. Of course, she can manage a company worth billions, but her biggest priority is protecting one man's lunch break. Mia laughed. That's love. And everyone at Carter International finally understood. Ryan Hayes wasn't special because he was the heir of Hayes Global. He was special because the Ice Queen CEO had chosen him. Long before anyone knew his name, after Ryan's identity was revealed, everything changed except one thing. Every morning at 7:45, a black Mercedes still stopped at the entrance of Carter International. And every morning at 7:50, Ryan still opened the passenger door for Olivia. The first week after the announcement, the employees were confused, very confused, because they expected something different. They expected Ryan to arrive surrounded by assistants, security guards, executives. But no, he arrived alone, holding 2 coffees, one for himself, one for Olivia. Exactly like before. Daniel watched him walk into the building. He couldn't help shaking his head. "You really didn't change anything." Ryan handed him a coffee. "Why would I? You're now one of the most powerful people in the industry." Ryan shrugged. "I know. Then why are you still doing this?" Ryan looked toward the elevator. Olivia was waiting inside. The doors were about to close. He immediately walked faster. Daniel watched him run. Then sighed. "Never mind. You didn't become powerful. You just became a rich man who was still afraid his girlfriend will leave without him." Inside the elevator, Olivia looked at him. "You were running." Ryan smiled. "I didn't want to miss the elevator." She raised an eyebrow. "You own half the building. That doesn't mean I want to take the stairs." She laughed, a genuine laugh. The employees inside the elevator froze because they had worked with Olivia for years and they had never seen this. The CEO was laughing. Before 8 a.m. that afternoon, a major investor visited Carter International. Everyone prepared carefully. The investor was famous for being arrogant. During the meeting, he looked at Ryan, then at Olivia. "So, your boyfriend is now vice chairman." He smiled. "Convenient." The room became quiet. Everyone understood the implication. He was suggesting Ryan only had his position because of Olivia. Ryan remained calm before he could respond. Olivia spoke. "Interesting." The investor smiled. "What's interesting?" She closed the document in front of her. "You spent 20 minutes discussing Ryan's relationship with me. Not his investment record, not his achievements, not his business decisions." Her expression became cold. The old ice queen returned. "So should I assume you are unable to judge his ability?" The investor's smile disappeared. Ryan looked at her. He had defended himself many times. But this was different because Olivia wasn't defending his position. She was defending his dignity. After the meeting, Ryan followed her into the office. "Olivia, you didn't have to do that." She turned around. "Do what?" "Protect me." She looked confused. "Why wouldn't I?" "Because everyone already thinks I got everything because of you." She walked closer. "Ryan, do you know the difference between everyone else and me?" "What?" "Everyone else sees your identity." She gently touched his chest. "I see you." Ryan became quiet. She continued, "I knew you when nobody cared. I knew you when people called you just a driver. I knew you when you ate lunch alone because everyone thought you didn't belong." Her eyes softened. "So now, why would I let anyone disrespect the person who stayed beside me?" That evening, Ryan took Olivia home as usual. Except this time, she didn't get out of the car immediately. "Ryan, yes. I have a question." "Ask." "Do you like being rich?" He laughed. "That's a strange question." "Answer." He thought for a moment. "Maybe." "Why, maybe?" "Because money gives me freedom." "Freedom to do what?" He looked at her. "Choose." She smiled. "And what did you choose?" Ryan didn't hesitate. "You." The answer was so simple. Yet, it hit her harder than any romantic speech. Because Olivia had spent her entire life surrounded by people who chose her because of power. Ryan chose her when he believed she had nothing to offer him. That night, Olivia returned to her apartment. She stood in front of the mirror. She looked at herself. The CEO, the woman everyone admired. Then she smiled because she finally understood something. She had always thought Ryan was hiding his identity. But actually, she was the one hiding. She hid behind her title, her reputation, her perfect image. And Ryan was the only person who never asked her to remove those things. He simply waited until she was ready. The next morning, Ryan arrived at the office. But something was different. His desk was gone. In its place was a new office beside Olivia's. Ryan looked confused. "Olivia?" She looked up. "Yes." "What is this? Your new office?" "Why?" She answered naturally. Because I want you closer. Ryan smiled. Is this a CEO decision? No. Then what is it? She walked over, lowered her voice. My girlfriend decision. Ryan laughed. You know everyone can hear you. I know you don't care. She shook her head. Not anymore. At that moment, the entire executive floor received an email from Olivia Carter. The subject, important announcement. Everyone opened it immediately. Inside was only one sentence. Ryan Hayes is not my driver anymore. Everyone was shocked until they read the second sentence. He is the person I choose to stay beside me. The office became silent. Then the entire floor erupted. Daniel looked at Mia. She really doesn't hide anymore. Mia smiled. No. She spent 3 years hiding her feelings. She's making up for lost time. That evening, Ryan opened the passenger door for Olivia. She looked at him. You're still doing that? He smiled. Yes. Why? Because I like it. She looked at him for a long moment, then stepped closer. Ryan, you know, I never needed a driver. He smiled. I know. I needed someone who would stay. His expression softened. And I found you. The car door closed. The city lights reflected on the windshield. And once again, the world's most powerful CEO went home with the one man who had never cared about her power. Only her. The annual Carter International Gala was the biggest event of the year. Every major business figure attended, investors, partners, media, competitors, everyone wanted to see the newly revealed couple, the Ice Queen CEO and the mysterious heir who had spent 3 years as her driver. Before the event, Olivia stood in front of the mirror. Her assistant adjusted her necklace. CEO, are you nervous? Olivia looked surprised. No. The assistant smiled. Really? You're about to appear in front of thousands of people with Mr. Hayes. Why would I be nervous? Olivia looked at herself, then quietly added. I was nervous 3 years ago. The assistant blinked. When? When I realized, she smiled softly. I cared about what one person thought of me. At the same time, Ryan waited downstairs. When Olivia walked out, he stopped. Even after everything, she could still surprise him. Black evening gown, elegant jewelry, confident expression. The CEO everyone feared. But the moment she saw him, the cold expression disappeared. Only warmth remained. You waited. Ryan smiled. I always do. That answer still made her heart race. The gala began. Cameras flashed. Reporters surrounded them. CEO Carter, Mr. Hayes, how long have you been together? Was the driver's story real? Why did you hide your relationship? Olivia ignored most questions until one reporter asked, CEO Carter, is it true Mr. Hayes only became vice chairman because of you? The atmosphere changed. Ryan's expression remained calm, but Olivia noticed. She always noticed him. She stepped forward. Let me answer. The reporters immediately focused on her. Ryan Hayes became vice chairman because he is qualified, not because he is my boyfriend. She paused, then smiled. But even if he had nothing, I would still choose him. The crowd became quiet. Ryan looked at her. She continued, 3 years ago, everyone saw him as my driver. They thought he was beneath me, but they never saw what I saw. He was the person who stayed after everyone left. The person who remembered small things nobody noticed. The person who made my hardest days easier. Her voice softened. So, if you ask me who Ryan Hayes is, she looked at him. The answer is simple. He is the person I trust most. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the camera started flashing again. The next morning, that speech appeared on every business headline. Not because Ryan was the heir of Hayes Global, but because the Ice Queen CEO had publicly admitted the most important person in her life was not her company. It was him. Later that night, the gala ended. Ryan and Olivia stood on the balcony outside the hotel. The city stretched beneath them. Beautiful. Quiet. Olivia held 2 glasses of water. Ryan smiled. Everyone else drinks champagne. She looked at him. I don't like champagne. You do? She shook her head. I used to. And now she smiled. Now I prefer things that feel real. Ryan looked at her. Like coffee, lunch, walking home. She paused. And you? Ryan smiled. You know, when I first became your driver, I thought I would be happy just being near you. She looked at him. You were? Yes, but I was wrong. Why? Because now? He reached for her hand. I don't want to stand behind you anymore. Olivia's expression softened. I don't want you behind me either. No. She shook her head. I want you beside me. A few days later, something happened that surprised everyone. Olivia took a vacation. Not a business trip, not an overseas meeting, a real vacation. 3 days, no laptop, no calls, no documents. The board nearly panicked. CEO, the company needs you. Olivia looked at Ryan, then answered calmly. The company will survive 3 days. And you? She smiled. I need to remind myself that I have a life outside work. They went to a small coastal town. No luxury hotels, no private beaches, just a quiet seaside house. Ryan watched Olivia walk barefoot along the shore. He smiled. What? She turned. You look happy. I am. Why? He thought for a moment. Because this is the first time I've seen you completely relaxed. She looked at the ocean. I forgot what that felt like. That night, they sat outside under the stars. Olivia suddenly asked Ryan, yes. If one day I lost everything, the company, the money, the CEO title, she looked at him seriously, would you still choose me? Ryan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he moved closer, held her hand. Olivia. I chose you when I thought you would never choose me. I chose you when everyone thought I was just a driver. I chose you before you knew my name. His eyes were full of certainty. So why would losing anything change that? Her eyes slowly became red. You always know what to say. He smiled. No, I just always know what I feel. She leaned against his shoulder. For years, everyone called her strong, independent, unbreakable. But only Ryan knew the truth. The strongest woman in the world also wanted someone who would hold her hand and say, you don't have to carry everything alone. The next morning, a photo appeared online. No official announcement, no press release, just a picture taken by a tourist. Olivia Carter, the Ice Queen CEO, walking on the beach, holding Ryan's hand, laughing. The caption went viral. The woman who owns an empire finally found someone she can come home to. And for the first time, nobody called Ryan her driver. Nobody called him her assistant. Everyone simply called him what Olivia had known all along, the person she loved. Ryan had been acting strange again and Olivia noticed immediately. She always noticed him. For 1 week. Ryan left the office earlier than usual. He whispered with Mia. He received mysterious packages. He even asked Daniel for advice. Daniel, the man who had terrible romantic instincts. That alone made Olivia suspicious. One evening, Ryan came home later than expected. When he opened the door, the apartment was dark. Olivia? No answer. His heart tightened. He turned on the lights. She was sitting by the window, still wearing her work clothes, looking at the city. You're home. Ryan walked closer. What happened? She shook her head. Nothing. He knew immediately. She was lying. What are you thinking? She didn't answer. After a long silence, she asked quietly. Are you tired? Ryan frowned. Of what? Me? The question shocked him. What? She looked away. Recently, you've been distant. You leave early. You hide your phone. You talk to Mia and Daniel. Her voice became softer. I thought maybe you realized something. What? That being with me is too complicated. Ryan froze. Then he understood. She wasn't angry. She was afraid. The same Olivia who could face hundreds of executives was sitting alone, worrying that he might leave. He immediately walked over. Olivia. She looked up. I'm here. I know. No. He knelt in front of her. I don't think you understand. What? There is nowhere else I want to be. Her eyes trembled slightly. Then why? Because. He smiled. I was preparing something. She became quiet. What? Ryan reached into his pocket but didn't take anything out. Not yet. Instead, he asked, do you remember the first day I became your driver? She nodded. You were late for a meeting. I was. You forgot your coffee. I did. You looked so angry. I was. She smiled slightly. You thought I was terrifying. Ryan laughed. I did. And now? He looked at her. I think you're the most adorable, terrifying person I've ever met. She couldn't help smiling. Ryan continued, but there was something you don't know. What? The first week I worked for you, you never noticed me. Olivia frowned. That's not true. It is. You barely looked at me. She looked guilty. I was busy. I know, but he smiled. One day, you came back to the office after midnight. You thought everyone had left, but I was still there. Olivia's expression changed. I remember. You gave me your coat because you were cold. You said, he imitated her serious tone. Don't get sick. I don't want my driver falling asleep while driving me. She laughed softly. I said that. You did. I sounded terrible. You sounded worried. Ryan took her hand. That was the first time I realized the woman everyone feared actually cared. She just didn't know how to show it. Olivia looked down. I was terrible at it. No. He shook his head. You were learning. So was I. Finally, Ryan stood, then slowly lowered himself onto one knee. Olivia stopped breathing. Ryan. He smiled. 3 years ago, I became your driver because I wanted to know you. Today, I want to spend the rest of my life knowing you. He opened the ring box. A simple diamond ring, no huge stone, no unnecessary luxury, just elegant, perfect for her. Olivia Carter, the woman who built an empire. The woman who pretends she doesn't need anyone, the woman who secretly makes lunch for the person she loves. She laughed through her tears. Ryan smiled. Will you let me be the person who opens your door? Not because it's my job, but because I want to. Her eyes immediately filled. Ryan, you really are unfair. He looked confused. Why? Because she wiped away her tears. You always make me cry. He laughed softly. Is that a yes? She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled him up, then hugged him tightly. Yes, yes. Yes. The ring was still in his hand. She looked down. You forgot something. What? The ring. Ryan laughed. I was distracted. By what? You. She smiled. Good answer. He slid the ring onto her finger. Perfect fit. That night, Ryan thought everything was finished until Olivia stopped him before bed. Ryan? Yes. I have something to tell you. What? She walked to her desk, opened a drawer. Inside was a small box. Ryan looked confused. What is that? She handed it to him. Open it. Inside was another ring. His eyes widened. You? She nodded. I bought it 6 months ago. 6 months? Yes. Why didn't you give it to me? She looked away. Because I was afraid. Of what? That if I asked, you might say no. Ryan stared at her, then laughed softly. Olivia. I spent 3 years thinking I wasn't good enough for you. She smiled sadly. And I spent 3 years thinking I wasn't lovable enough for you. They both went silent, then laughed because they finally understood. Two people, both secretly afraid, both secretly in love, both waiting for the other person to take the first step. The next morning, Carter International received a shocking announcement, not a business announcement, a personal one from Olivia Carter. The subject line was simple, important news. Everyone opened it. The message contained only one sentence. The man who used to open my car door will soon become the man who walks beside me forever. The entire company exploded. Daniel stared at the email, then smiled. Finally. Mia nodded. Finally. Because everyone knew something Olivia herself had only recently understood. Ryan was never just her driver. He was the person who had been driving her heart home all along. 1 year later, the wedding of Olivia Carter and Ryan Hayes became the biggest social event of the year. Not because of money, not because of status, but because everyone wanted to see one thing. The Ice Queen CEO, finally smiling like a normal woman. The wedding venue was a private garden overlooking the ocean. No reporters, no business speeches, no investors, only the people who mattered, family, friends, and the employees who had witnessed their story from the beginning. Before the ceremony, Ryan stood alone near the garden entrance. Daniel walked over, nervous. Ryan smiled a little. Daniel looked confused. You negotiated with billionaires. Yes. You face the world's toughest investors. Yes. And you're nervous about one woman. Ryan smiled. She's the only person whose opinion matters. Daniel shook his head. You really are hopeless. Ryan laughed. Probably. Then the music began. Everyone turned. Olivia appeared. She wasn't wearing the cold expression everyone knew. No, she was smiling. A real smile. The same smile Ryan had first seen when she forgot to be a CEO. When she reached him, Ryan couldn't stop looking at her. She noticed. What? He smiled. You look beautiful. She raised an eyebrow. Only today? No, every day. She nodded. Better answer. The ceremony began. The officiant smiled. Today we celebrate two people who prove something important. Love does not always begin with grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with someone opening a car door. Everyone laughed. Ryan looked embarrassed. Olivia smiled proudly. I like that door. When it was Ryan's turn for vows, he didn't read from paper. He simply held her hands. Olivia, the first day I met you, you were surrounded by people, executives, investors. Everyone wanted something from you. But nobody asked whether you were tired, whether you had eaten, whether you were happy. He smiled softly. Except me. Her eyes became red. I became your driver because I wanted to know the real you. The woman behind the title. The woman behind the company. The woman behind the perfect image. And I found her. The woman who secretly likes sweet desserts. The woman who works too hard. The woman who pretends she doesn't need help. The woman who, he smiled, still forgets her umbrella. Everyone laughed. Olivia wiped away a tear. I love every version of you. Not because you're a CEO. Not because you're powerful, but because you're Olivia. When it was Olivia's turn, she looked at Ryan for a long moment, then smiled. 3 years ago, I thought I was giving someone a job. I thought I hired a driver. I was wrong. She squeezed his hands. I was giving myself a chance to meet the person who would change my life. She looked around. Everyone listened. The world saw him as my driver. They thought he stood behind me, but they were wrong. She smiled. Ryan was never behind me. He was always beside me. Then she said something that made everyone emotional. People ask me, why him? Why choose someone who seemed ordinary? Why choose someone who opened your car door? She looked at Ryan. My answer is simple. Because when everyone wanted to open doors to my world, he was the only person who cared about opening the door for me. Ryan's eyes turned red. The woman who controlled an empire was crying because of him. The officiant smiled. Do you both agree to spend your lives together? Ryan answered immediately. I do. Olivia smiled. I do. Then I pronounce you husband and wife. The crowd erupted. After the ceremony, the employees gathered around. Daniel raised his glass. I have one question. Ryan laughed. What? Are you still her driver? Everyone laughed. Ryan looked at Olivia. She pretended to think. Everyone waited. Then she smiled. No. Daniel nodded. Good. Ryan smiled. Finally. Then Olivia continued. He's not my driver anymore. The crowd became quiet. Ryan looked at her. She took his hand. He is my husband. That night after everyone left, Ryan and Olivia returned home. The same apartment, the same city, the same life. Except now, no secrets, no pretending, no distance. The next morning, Ryan woke up early. He walked toward the kitchen, then stopped because Olivia was already there wearing his shirt making breakfast. He smiled. You're cooking. She turned. Yes. Should I be worried? She narrowed her eyes. Why? Last time you almost destroyed a pan. She looked offended. I improved. He looked at the breakfast. Did you? She nodded proudly. I watched tutorials. Ryan laughed. You really never change. She walked over, handed him a plate. Good. Why? Because you fell in love with this version of me. He looked at her, the CEO, the wife, the woman who once sat in the back seat while he opened doors. Now standing in their kitchen making breakfast just for him. Years later, new employees at Carter International would still hear the same story about the Ice Queen CEO, about the mysterious executive, about the man everyone thought was only a driver. And whenever someone asked why did the CEO fall for him, the answer was always the same. Because everyone else wanted to know what he could give her. Power, money, connections. But Olivia Carter only cared about one thing. The man who opened her car door every morning. The man who waited when everyone else left. The man who saw her before the world saw her. The man who was never just her driver. He was her home. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.